So we're going to do our first little lecture here. There'll be some material that we've already covered, like a textbook and things. But we're kind of switching gears a little bit into a little bit more of the content portion. And we will take a break in about 10-15 minutes. Okay? So, what do I need? Textbook, 8th or 9th edition. You need computer access and or internet access, and internet access. And you need to have the ability to get into Blackboard, or BB Learn as we call it. Some students find that the Histology Dvd is super helpful. It is not required. If you're one of those people that is fascinated about histology, you know, maybe you know that you're going to go into dermatology. Dermatologists take lots of biopsies from people. Like, this like round thing right here, and then I got like a green one. Can you like cut that out? They cut it out, they send it off, and they're, you know, they give you your answer. And so if that's you, you might find the content on the Histology DVD really interesting. So what this is this is a disc where the actual, I have a whole slew of slides in a library with different types of diseased tissue. And then I also have all the normal tissue. And so there's a folder of normal tissue, and there's a folder of the pathological state. So in the skin section, on the Histology DVD, there would be normal skin. You can see all the different layers that we studied in 201. And then I have like gangrenous skin. I have skin that's been tattooed. Really, that's a pathology. Well, it's an alteration of the normal state. Okay. We have skin that has burns. Okay. We have keloided skin. Right? A lot of these things will show up in our lectures, but I mean, if you're just, I want more of that, then maybe the Histology DVD is interesting for you. But if not, then don't buy it. Some students really benefit from 3x5 note cards, but I've seen this happen. Some students think they should benefit from 3x5 note cards, and they don't. And they spend hours and hours and hours making these cards, and they do nothing for them. Okay, and they come to me and they say, well, I've been doing these 3x5 note cards. I don't know what else to do. Well, are they helping you? No, I hate them. Well, then why are you doing them? I don't know. It just seems like the thing to do. Okay? Well, the way that you learn, it might be different than the person sitting next to you. In fact, likely it is. So you might need to figure out who are my study groups because you want similar types of study styles. So don't be offended if somebody says, you know what, it's not working for me, because we study very differently. Okay? Acknowledge that that's a reality. And say, you know what, I understand. I actually agree with you. Okay? You like to study in the nude, and I don't. Okay? So, just for example, that might be an awkward situation where it's okay for you not to study together. But if someone's like bent on 3x5 note cards, and the other person, you know, is like, I don't see the value. I need 5x7s. You know, then maybe you can just separate and go find a 5x7 group and a 3x5 group. Okay. All right. So, colored pencils or markers. Again, some students really benefit by drawing things out. I had one student one semester in this class that she was artistically inclined, which I am not. Okay. I think PowerPoint was the best things for my lectures because you can actually read. Okay, and when you have drawings, you know what they are. Because there's like professionals that make them. But those are colored markers, right? If I drew it, it would look like a bunch of straws or a fence. You're like, what? So some people love to draw it out and it makes sense to them. Other people, not at all. I don't even want to see a figure. Just when I see figures with these arrows and these dots, it just confuses me. So there may be times where I'm presenting it in a format where it's not sinking in. And you'll go to SI and Kelsey will explain it in a totally different format. It's like light bulb goes off. Okay, and you walk away thinking, wow, Kelsey really knows how to teach. And Keller, lame. Okay? And that's fine. That means that you found the mode or the modality that you need in order to learn this material. And that's what we need to have happen. There is no magic recipe. If you bust out with hundreds of 3x5 note cards and colored pencils, it doesn't mean that you're going to get an A. If that's you, it may really help you, and that makes or breaks your A. But it's not going to be 100% of you guys. Oops, sorry, I got excited. So along these lines, adequate study time, what does that look like? What's the magic number of study time that you need every week? What do you guys think?
6 hours.
6 hours. How'd you get that number?
It's 2 hours for the credit.
What if it was 6? What was, okay, so 2 hours study credit. 2 hours study credit. What else? 6 hours. Anybody else? 1 hour for every credit? That would be 3. You like that? It's less than 6. 3 for every credit hour? 9? You like that?
Until you're satisfied with the material.
Until you're satisfied with how well you understand the material. Okay? It's going to be different for every one of you. There are some people, and you might hate these people, or you might be one of them. Okay? It's like, and sometimes they come to me, and they're not trying to show off. It's like, hey, I just want to talk to you about this. And I was like, well, how's the studying going? Well, actually, I don't study for your class. Like, really? Yeah. You're getting A's on all the exams. Yeah, I don't have to study for my classes. Like, I play a lot of video games. I hate you. You're way too smart. Okay? So if that's you, then the blank is 0. You don't study. You come to class, you do the pre-work, you do the post-work, you're good to go. Give me the exam. Awesome. Okay? If you're going to be a physician, I'd like your permanent contact information now. So I can look it up later. But for the rest of us, that may not be true. And so you're going to have to figure out early. It's better to probably overshoot early and learn, okay, you know what? I got like a 98 on his exam. I think I can back it off a notch. Okay? But you can't do overly good. Right? Most students don't come in and say, you know, I need to talk to you. I'm like really killing your class. And it's bugging me. It's bugging me that I'm doing so well. You know? I never have those conversations. I do have the ones like, I'm not doing as well as I'd like. What else could I be doing? Okay? Funny how that works. You never see the opposite side of the conversation, which is, you know, is there anything else you can throw at me? You know, like, you know, I don't know, like robotic surgery or something. I mean, I'm just so bored. It doesn't seem to show up yet. So I would probably overstudy and then try to back it off based upon what other your demands are. But when you come to me and you say, I don't know what else to do, I'm going to ask, well, tell me, what are you doing? How are you studying? Are you using the SI sessions? If it's like the week before the final and I'm seeing you for the first time, you're like, hi, my name is John. Like, hi, John, nice to meet you. Class ends next week. It's probably too late. But if you come early in the semester, we could probably experiment and figure out certain things that work well. All right? Be in communication. All right, so the traditional class format looks something like this. This is the preparation. This might be this week. This week is not a big deal. And then you get to class, and the first time I talk about this pathological disease is in here. And we talk about nephrosclerosis. What is that? Anybody know? Scarring of? Scarring of the kidneys. Very good. Okay, if you can figure out the word, the root word, you can put it together. But if you had to struggle and eventually you get it, and I'm already on the next slide, how well do you think your notes are? They're probably not so great. You fall behind because you're trying to figure out what the heck is nephrosclerosis. Like, I never heard that word. That might have been some of you like, I don't know what that means. I'm glad that guy does. Okay. But even if you know it and you have to pause and there's some time and gap in your lecture notes, you're not going to be walking away not in this situation. You're going to be confused. You don't know where things line up. Okay? You come to the exam and you just do terrible. So in our class, hybrid or blended, is I am going to encourage, or force you to spend time with the material before you show up. You have to do the quiz, the pre-quiz before lecture. Okay? That means you at least know what we're talking about. You at least know what nephrosclerosis is, for example. Okay? You are familiar, generally, with some key concepts. And then we dive in deeper. The stuff that you're familiar with, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember reading about that. Oh yeah, I remember. Well, I don't even remember that. That's okay. I'm paying really close attention. Because what research shows is if you're talking to an audience about something you're familiar with, the engagement of the audience is much higher. For example, who's really passionate about skiing or snowboarding? Okay. So if I sat and started talking about how great my morning was, actually it really was, I can show you some pictures. The snow was we could talk probably for an hour. All the different resorts that you've gone to, what's your favorite, okay? Favorite conditions, favorite food to eat at lunch, favorite beverage to have after you're done, right? Well, let's pick another. How many of you are musicians? Okay? So if we started talking about music, I would engage that audience. If I talked about a topic that you know nothing about, the engagement level just goes way down. So the pre-quiz, the goal is to have you read the material, have you actually digest the material, have you come up with questions, maybe be slightly confused, get some answers here as a second exposure, and now we're speaking the same language. We are on the same page. We're talking about a topic that you're actually familiar with. It's not completely foreign to you. Then the idea is you go out of class, you do the post-quiz. Can you work in groups and study? Yes. I would just like you to say, when it comes time to the quiz, you know what, let's take the quiz. And everyone pulls their laptops off, and you kind of do it independently. You're going to do better on those post-quizzes, and you're going to do better on the exam as a result of it. So the difficulty level ramps up. Like the pre-quiz is easier, the post-quiz is harder, and then the exam is more challenging than that. And by the time you get to the exam, the idea is that you're not pulling an all-nighter the night before the exam because you've actually been studying all 3 or 4 weeks that we've been in this unit. Okay? The retention will be better. All right, so we're going to have some self-study. We're going to do some online assignments, or a lot of online assignments. We'll do a typical in-class lecture. And I really encourage you guys to do peer interaction. You're not going to move into the healthcare profession and work by yourself. It doesn't work that way. Okay? Especially now. Nowadays, it's that middle-level healthcare provider that's really, really growing. PAs, nursing, number of physicians is actually starting to drop. The number of PAs and the number of nurses is actually going up. Okay? You're going to be working with people, so you might as well practice it now. And you're going to be collaborating as a group. You guys ready for a break? Let's take a break.